Imagine scoring 60 goals.
Free header, and he doesn't miss from there. The deadly Kylian Mbappé.
And your team gets worse.
The problems that were there for Xabi Alonso are just not going to go away overnight. Heavily reliant on Kylian Mbappé, a lack of discipline from other players, and that's the extra games for them that they really didn't want, particularly with the injuries that they've had this season.
Arbeloa coming in, like we've described him maybe as some sort of a glorified babysitter in a sense that it seems to be very difficult to coach these players, to get something out of these players, to tell these players what to do, because obviously Xabi Alonso struggled with that, and Ancelotti towards the end of his tenure as well.
Imagine joining the Champions League winners and suddenly they can't win anything.
The answer seems to be staring us straight in the face. The biggest problem here is Mbappe.
Imagine scoring 40 plus goals regularly for your previous club, then as soon as you leave, they win everything without you.
It's a difficult one because he's still scoring the goals, he's still doing good things. It's just they haven't won anything.
This is Mbappe's former coach literally saying his team became better without Mbappe.
Pero también pienso que siempre es muy difícil decirle a un jugador del nivel de Kylian Mbappé. Creo que el equipo está respondiendo a un nivel espectacular. Os dije que me encantaría que hubiera, en vez de un jugador que marque 40 goles, 4 que marcaran 12 cada uno. Ya hay 2 que han superado con creces esos números.
Everywhere Donatello goes, the trophies somehow disappear. It's the weirdest thing we have seen in football. Mbappe is a generational player. He's arguably the best player in the world and has been for the past few years, at least if we go purely off of individual ability.
Mbappe's performance today, when you see him play like that, his pace, his understanding where the space was, his finishing, I mean, he was absolutely world-class.
He's fast, scores for fun, and is a great dribbler. So when he walked into a Madrid side that had just won the Champions League and La Liga and were stacked with stars, everyone expected instant domination.
If Mbappe lands Madrid, Barcelona doesn't have to get ready. The world has to get ready.
Instead, things just got weird. His first season in the 2024-2025 campaign started slowly. He was missing pens, looked slow, and looked like a shadow of the guy we had seen dominate at PSG.
When I see Mbappe playing, he's not the Mbappe that I know.
And the way Mbappe's gone, he will be remembered as a great player, but he's never going to be an all-time great.
I mean, the perfect example is his embarrassing performance in the first El Clasico, where he literally forgot how offsides work.
He was taking shots when he shouldn't have done. He had too many players around him. The shot wasn't on, but yet he still tried it. If you've got 3 players on you, get your head up and pick the right pass.
Done nothing, has he? Done nothing, really.
Now, once things got going for him and he got more comfortable, he exploded. He ended the season by breaking Real Madrid's single-season scoring record. 44 goals in all competitions, 31 in La Liga alone.
We're seeing Kylian Mbappé has become the guy at Real Madrid, which was always going to happen.
After that poor first El Clasico, he got better and better in the next ones. He actually scored a hat-trick in the final El Clasico of the season. But sadly, it wasn't enough, as Madrid lost 4-3.
You cannot sit here and criticize Kylian Mbappe when he has scored a hat-trick in El Clasico and very much asking for the ball. Let me go here. Let me go there. Let me get him behind. Let me show for the ball here. This is what we expect from Kylian Mbappe. I don't know that we should be applauding that he's doing it, but it stands out because it hasn't happened all the way through from all Real Madrid players, and Kylian Mbappe is taking that leadership role saying, this game matters to me.
That was basically the story of Mbappe's first season at Madrid. Lots of goals, but none of them amounted to anything. Real Madrid lost every El Clasico that season. Barca beat them in the Super Cup, beat them again in La Liga, beat them again in the Copa del Rey final. Then in Europe, Arsenal knocked them out of the Champions League. You know, when Declan Rice turned into prime David Beckham. And then Saka shushed them in their own back garden. I mean, that's embarrassing. The only trophies Madrid won that season were the UEFA Super Cup and the Club World Cup. Nice additions, but not what Mbappe was brought in for. So you had this strange situation. Mbappe was unstoppable in front of goal, yet Real Madrid as a whole had a failed season. I mean, just think about that contrast. Mbappe won the European Golden Boot. He scored almost 3 times as many goals as anyone else in the squad. And yet none of the goals led to big trophies. Mbappe individually played well, but the team would collapse.
I think at Real Madrid you're expected to win everything. So I wouldn't like to criticize him and say he's had a bad season because of the goals and everything he's scored. He's top goal scorer in La Liga. Yeah, it's just a difficult one because they haven't won anything.
Then came the 2025-2026 season, and the pattern didn't really change. Individually, he was flying again. In fact, he was even better than he was the season before, because he didn't have a slow start. He hit the ground running.
Kylian Mbappé has started the season with some impressive numbers, 14 goals in just 10 games at Real Madrid.
In fact, he even helped Madrid win the first El Clasico of the season. And at that point, Madrid were at the top of the table 5 points clear, and both Mbappe and Madrid were both doing well. But it didn't take long for the cracks to appear. Despite Mbappe still scoring, Madrid started dropping points and fell to second in the league. He scored against Girona, but it wasn't enough. He got an assist against Elche, and Madrid still tied the match. Then in Europe, cracks began to show as well. In January of 2026, Madrid suffered a shocking loss away at Benfica. Now, Mbappe scored twice in this game, but it didn't matter. The defeat dropped Madrid to 9th in the Champions League table.
You were lucky. You were lucky to lose only for 2 because could be more.
But what a result at home against Real Madrid.
I cannot believe this. I am floored.
Wow.
I wonder what they're thinking.
This was a terrible look, because before Mbappe, these guys won the 2024 Champions League. With him, they had failed to qualify directly to the round of 16 twice now in the new format, back to back. After the game, Mbappe didn't hide his frustration. He called out the team's inconsistency, basically saying that champions don't play well one day and disappear the next.
We don't have consistency in our game. That's something we have to fix, because in the end, you can't be good one day, but the next, good one day, but the next. That's not how a champion team behaves. We deserve to be in the position we're in today. After this defeat, Benfica deserved to win, and now it's on us to work.
Pretty sure he was describing Vinny, but also the team as a whole. So fans began to ask the same question. How is this happening? Because Mbappe is doing everything you want from a superstar striker. He's breaking records, he's winning golden boots, he's scoring in most games. Like, if he doesn't score 4 goals against Olympiacos, Madrid lose that match as well. It was also his brace that helped them beat Marseille. No one around him is matching his output. In the 2024-2025 season, Real's next highest league scorers were Vinny with 11 goals and Jude with 9. In the next season, it's even worse. There's an even bigger gap between Mbappe and the next player with the highest goals. It's weird because this is a squad full of talent. Vinny, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Arda Güler. On paper, it should work. Even though it's not the most balanced, they have enough quality to at least win some of the games that they're losing. Instead, Mbappe's carrying the scoring load alone, and the trophies are not following. So that's when people started asking a question that sounded ridiculous at first, but worth discussing. Are Mbappe's goals making Madrid worse?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I mean, it sounds ludicrous. The objective of the sport is to score goals. So how can someone scoring at such an elite level be bad for the team? But you look at Mbappe's former club and it makes some sense. In Mbappe's last season for the Croissant Lovers, he got 44 goals and 10 assists in all competitions. Incredible numbers, right? Well, when he left, his team got better.
Valiente la temporada pasada cuando dije que pensaba que íbamos a tener mejor equipo en ataque y en defensa, o pensando que somos mejores en ataque y en defensa, y los números están ahí.
You've knocked out all the Premier League opposition in this competition.
The League of Farmers, no?
His output was spread among the front 3 rather than all of it coming from one guy, and PSG as a whole played the highest level of football they ever had.
How have you managed to transform this team, particularly after Kylian Mbappé left, to make this group of players now Champions League finalists?
Well, I think it was a stimulus for all the team, for all the players, because we try to manage the way we play. As a team, we are very happy because I think we are better than the last year, on and off the ball, and it's important for us.
Ousmane Dembélé, who ended up being the Mbappe replacement up top, had a Ballon d'Or season. He went crazy in Ligue 1 and did even better in the Champions League, getting at least 1 goal contribution in every knockout round. That's right, in one season, Dembélé got 2 things that Mbappe was chasing, a Champions League and a Ballon d'Or. Off the ball, PSG were pressing better now as a team without Mbappe. Luis Enrique tried to get him to do more defensive work in his final season. I mean, everybody and their grandmother has now seen this clip.
¿Te gustaba Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan cogía de los huevos a todos sus compañeros y se ponía a defender como un hijo de puta. Tú tienes que dar ese ejemplo primero como persona y como jugador de ir a presionar. Vas a tener a Cubarsí, vas a ser tú el que marca a Cubarsí y a Ter Stegen. Y te vas a pegar todo el partido presionando a Cubarsí que no avance y presionando a Ter Stegen para que juegue rápido. Y volviendo rápido. ¿Para qué? Para ser un líder.
At the time, nobody thought too much of this. It's just a manager and a star player having a discussion. But then Mbappe came to Madrid, and now these guys have the same issue. They don't work hard off the ball, and it's costing them. Mbappe doesn't really press. In fact, he barely helps defensively. And because he's undroppable, when Madrid don't control games, it feels like they're playing with one man less. Sometimes too if Vinny also switches off defensively. In those moments, Madrid are not compact. They're stretched, and everything becomes harder. I mean, go and look at Real Madrid versus PSG at the Club World Cup. Mbappe gets dispossessed by Kvaratskhelia, and that little clip shows you the contrast. It's PSG's new number 7 doing the dirty work and taking the ball off of their former number 7. And Mbappe just stands there and watches Kvaratskhelia dribble away. That's the key thing that people struggle to admit, especially Mbappe fans. Yes, he's a monster individually, but the team does become less balanced with him playing the way he does.
Tú sabes, hoy día te puede no correr un jugador, pero si no te corren varios, pesa mucho por venir de ganar Liga, Champions, es decir, somos los mejores. Y este año es como decir, yo voy a pegar aquí un golpe en la mesa. Y yo creo que eso también, que sea Kylian el que lo haga, eso ayuda mucho al resto de compañeros.
He scores a lot, but he also makes the team more rigid. He plays more like a second striker than a true number 9. So when top teams manage to keep him away from the box, Madrid don't really have solutions. Their attack doesn't adapt, it just stalls. So again, it's not about the individual talent of Kylian Mbappe. It's about fit, balance, and how the whole team functions around him. Because no one is questioning Mbappe's quality. You'd be stupid if you were. He's elite. But keep in mind, as a pure 9, his positioning isn't that great. He doesn't naturally occupy defenders like an Erling Haaland. He doesn't pin the back line. And because of that, Madrid's attacks often look just confused. A lot of chances that should come from team moves just don't happen. There's no flow in the attack. There are even clips of Thierry Henry explaining this exact issue way better than I could.
What Bellingham was trying to do and what your 9, hey, Mbappe is supposed to do. It's always, more often than not, I will say always, but more often than not, Bellingham trying to make the run, trying to make the team play, running in behind. That's him again trying to break the line. That's your 9. That's your 10. Again, who's going to make the run in behind? Who's going to try to go? It's him. It's Bellingham going, not your number 9. Again, who's making the box? Him again. And I think there is a little frustration. And this one for me is actually, look at him. Look at your 9. Look at where he started. He's going to pass his 9 to make a run in behind. What are we talking about here? You can't win games like that. It's him again going. Look at where your 9 is. Yeah, I will be upset also. Of course I will be upset. This is, for me, not good enough, and I don't think they're playing well as a team, but this is what we were talking about before, Jamie. On the ball, also he has to do way more.
Now, if you look at Mbappe's entire PSG career, it's been the same story as what we're seeing now in Madrid. Lots of goals, but no Champions League. From 2017 to 2024, he became PSG's all-time top goal scorer with 255 goals. He won the Uber Eats 6 times in 7 seasons. He dominated that baguette-loving league, scoring titles, Player of the Year awards, goals every single week. Domestically, PSG were a machine with him up front. But in Europe, always heartbreak. Every year, the Champions League ended the same way, in disappointment. PSG kept falling short when it mattered the most. In 2020, they reached the final and lost to Bayern Munich. Keep in mind, in that game, Mbappe had a golden opportunity and he messed it up. Now, I'm not saying it's his entire fault that PSG lost, but he had a chance to help them win and he missed. In 2021, they went out again, this time losing to City in the semis. Now, it's not like Mbappe didn't have big performances in that run. For example, he absolutely dunked his nuts on Barca in the round of 16.
Splendidly taken. It's a goal, Mbappe.
3 different types of goals from Kylian Mbappe. But right then and there, you knew that the speed of Mbappe was going to create problems.
He even picked up a brace versus Bayern in the next round, almost like a revenge for the previous final.
It reminded me a little bit of what he did in the World Cup in Russia, because he was waiting for the split second until Boateng opened his legs, and he shot it through his legs, in this beautiful third goal. And that shows the class that Mbappe has. He's a difference maker. He can punish you any second of the game, and gotta give him a compliment, a real big compliment today of how he played.
But despite these performances, no Champions League trophy. Take a look at his run in the 2021-2022 Champions League campaign. 6 goals, 6 assists in 8 games. Buddy showed up with a goal contribution in every single match, yet they were eliminated in the round of 16. The next season, Mbappe got 41 goals and 10 assists in all competitions, 7 goals and 3 assists just in the Champions League, and yet another round of 16 exit, this time to Bayern. Now, of course, I'm not blaming Mbappe by himself. It's a team sport. It's not his fault Messi missed a penalty, or Donnarumma got bulldozed by Benzema and no foul was given. But it shows a pattern that he might be cursed, because how many other players have had this level of output in the Champions League but not won it? Every season he was stacking Ligue 1 titles, domestic cups, but no Champions League. Every spring brought a new collapse, a late goal, a defensive mistake. It felt unreal. Mbappe was scoring more than anyone else in France, hell, anyone else in Europe, yet he couldn't win the most prestigious club trophy. Now, part of the chaos was also behind the scenes. Managers came and went constantly. This is where the Mbappe the dictator jokes began, because he has had so many different managers in his career. Mbappe arrived under Unai Emery, who was gone by 2018. Then came Thomas Tuchel, then Mauricio Pochettino, then Christophe Galtier, and finally Luis Enrique. 5 different managers in his PSG career, 5 different systems, 5 different ideas. Now, through all of it, Mbappe just kept scoring. But again, nothing changed in Europe. People like to claim that Mbappe got these guys fired. Now, I doubt this, but by the end of his career at PSG, he did have a lot of power. I mean, the president of France was literally willing to give him anything he wanted just for him to stay in Paris. Now, whether Mbappe was getting these guys sacked or it was the higher-ups at PSG, it didn't matter. The Eiffel Tower-loving freaks kept rebuilding, reshuffling, rebranding, but the Champions League failures stayed the same. But then, as soon as Mbappe was gone, PSG went to another level. Luis Enrique had told people that they were a better team without Donatello, but everyone laughed at him. I mean, Mbappe had been carrying PSG for years. How could they be better without their greatest player? Well, in May of 2025, they won their first ever Champions League. And it wasn't some fluke win. They destroyed Inter 5-0 in the final. Total domination. And then on top of that, they completed a historic treble. Ligue 1, Coupe de France, and the Champions League. Everything that PSG had failed to do with Mbappe, they suddenly did without him. Dembele, who took on a bigger role up front, had the season of his life. He scored 35 goals, and he was the one that led PSG to European glory. And of course, he also won the 2025 Ballon d'Or. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Mbappe scores at historic levels, he breaks records, he wins golden boots, and yet his teams fall short in Europe. At Real Madrid, the same chaos followed. Suddenly, trophies started slipping away from Madrid. They were now inconsistent. And the managerial carousel followed Mbappe. First Ancelotti was let go, then Xabi Alonso was fired in January of 2026. And the thing is, Mbappe hasn't been on bad teams. He's been on some squads stacked with talent. I mean, he had Neymar with him for a very long time in Paris, and then Messi came, and at Madrid he has Vini and Bellingham, yet he still can't get over the line. That's why people say this guy's cursed. How can you break records, win golden boots, and put up historic numbers, but when it's time to lift the biggest trophy in club football, everything goes wrong? Like, think about it. Real Madrid are a club that built its entire identity on European dominance, yet things have gone backwards as soon as Mbappe arrived. Fewer trophies, more issues behind the scenes. Now, instead of winning Champions Leagues, they're playing in Champions League playoff matches. They're losing leagues and cup finals to Barcelona. That was not the expectations when Mbappe signed. Now, let me make it clear. Mbappe isn't blameless throughout all of this. We have enough data and games to suggest that he is also doing something wrong, whether it's his lack of work rate off the ball, or something behind the scenes, or the fact that whatever team he's on relies on him too much. There's a reason that despite his individual brilliance, his teams play worse. Go and look at his heat map and movement versus Arsenal in the 2025 Champions League. Walking around like that, scratching your balls and sniffing them, does not benefit the team, especially when you contrast it to what Dembele was doing for PSG in their Champions League run. Then, some people make the argument that Mbappe, while getting these unreal stats, has not actually performed for Madrid in their biggest games. For example, look at his amazing Champions League numbers in the 2025-2026 season. If you just look at the numbers, that's a Ballon d'Or winner right there. But when you take a deeper dive, you see that he scored a bunch of goals against a terrible Monaco side, Kirat, and Olympiacos, while essentially being Casper the Ghost against Juve and Liverpool. That's why you get some people saying that he's just a stat patter, because the stats can be a bit misleading. Mbappe fans love pointing to the numbers and saying when Mbappe scores or assists, Madrid win way more. And sure, that's true, but the stats do ignore the bigger picture. This Madrid team is basically built around Mbappe. Everything runs through him. The attack is designed for his runs, his pace, his finishing. Everybody is constantly looking for him first. So of course when he scores or assists, Madrid usually win. The whole system is set up for that to happen. The real problems show up on the other side of it. When Mbappe has a quiet or bad game, the entire team struggles too. Now it's not because he's useless or stat padding, but because there isn't a real backup plan. If he's marked out of the game, or just not at his best, the attack doesn't suddenly shift to someone else. It just stalls.
At least he doesn't have to worry about his star player. It's the other facets of the game that he's got to consider. How do you get the best balance around Kylian Mbappe? Is it Vinicius? Is it Mastantuano on one side? Is it Arda Güler, as Robbo mentioned, behind?
That's why those stats about games where Mbappe doesn't score or assist matter. It's not just that he didn't produce, it's that no one else did either. The team looks stuck because everything depends on Mbappe making something happen. So what the numbers really show isn't just how good Mbappe is, they show how dependent Madrid are on him. And that's really dangerous, especially in big Champions League games. Top teams prepare for this. They don't just try and stop Mbappe, they try to make Madrid uncomfortable without him. And when that happens, Madrid look predictable and short on ideas. So no, Mbappe isn't really a stat padder. He's doing exactly what the team asks of him. But Madrid play for him more than they play with him. And when the games get tight and tense, like they do in the knockout rounds of the Champions League, that kind of setup falls apart fast. Now keep in mind, football isn't just about one player no matter how good he is. Teams need balance, structure, and timing helps too. PSG and Real Madrid have both had world-class squads, but they've often looked shaky or disconnected when it mattered the most. It also doesn't help that Madrid have all their eggs in the Mbappe basket, making it too easy for good teams to defend them. There's a reason PSG immediately went on to win their first Champions League the year Mbappe left, because their attack was able to be more balanced and less focused solely on going through one player. Yes, everywhere Mbappe goes, the goals follow, but the Champions League hasn't. To see just how bumpy of a ride Mbappe has had during his Real Madrid stint, you have to watch this video right here.